Board gamers are kind of an odd bunch in that many of us have no problem spending hundreds of dollars on huge boxes of plastic miniatures and cardboard tokens with the hopes that we're going to get as many hours out of the game as dollars put into the game. Sometimes we'll get even so excited by this prospect that we'll spend all this money on these games without even really knowing if they're any good. So what's the solution here? Well, the obvious solution would be to just finally bite the bullet and sell.
We should buy more games.
Wait, what? We should buy more?
Yeah, more small box games. We no longer have space for all these big box games, so we should just fill every square inch of storage in this house with little games. Your significant other won't mind because they're no longer in the picture. She said it was either her or the games and, miniatures.
Enter Sea Salt and Paper. From French board game design all-stars Bruno, Cathala, and Theo, Riviere, this little tiny box is really quite special. Look how cute that little box is. Fits in your pocket, your palm, or that space in the medicine cabinet where your ex-wife used to keep their face cream. Now it's full of games. In Sea Salt and Paper, 2 to 4 players will start their turn by either taking one card off of 2 discard piles, or by blindly drawing 2 cards off the deck, choosing one, and putting the other into one of those discard piles. They may then optionally play pairs of action cards if they have them to gain more actions and cards on their turn. There's no limit to how many cards can be in your hand or how many cards you can play on a turn so long as you have the cards to play. Each round is essentially a race to 7 or more points because once a player reaches 7 points between the cards that they have in their hand and the cards in their tableau, they can end the round by either saying stop or last chance. If that player says stop, then all players just immediately lay down their cards and count up points. If they say last chance, they're giving all other players one final chance, one final turn to try and get more points. Now, here's the interesting thing. The player that ended the round is taking kind of a risk here because if after everyone has taken their final turn, they don't have more points than everyone else, then they only get to score their color bonus and none of the points on their cards, meaning they only score 1 point per card in their largest set of color. And everyone else will get to score the points on their cards. Now, if the player that said last chance has more points than everyone else, they get to score the points on their cards and their color bonus. Everyone else only scores their color bonus. Rounds continue like this until a player crosses a point threshold of either 30, 35, or 40 points depending on player count. This rummy-style declaration of ending the round is what packs so much tension in this tiny little box of cards. Because players will have points from cards in their hand as well as cards on the table, you never really know what someone has. If you're confident, you can take that last chance risk with the hopes of getting you a huge leap in points ahead of everyone. But the opposite can happen if everyone else makes good use of their final turns. Conversely, ending the round with stop is a safe way to get incremental gains in points or to stop someone from having a huge last chance opportunity. So all that sounds well and good, but how do you actually score points? Only the duo cards are actually played onto the table, and they always must be played in pairs. The fish allow you to take a card off the top of the deck. The crabs let you dig through a discard pile, picking a card and putting the discard pile back. The sailboats let you immediately take another turn. And the shark swimmer combo allow you to steal a random card from another player's hand. In addition to their actions, each pair of duo cards is worth 1 point at the end of the round. Collector cards are sets of cards that score you more points if you have more of that card. This octopus, for example, is worth 0 points on its own, but if you have 3 of them, you get 6 points. Point multiplier cards are worth nothing on their own, but they get you points per card with a symbol matching the multiplier. And lastly, the mermaid essentially acts the same way as a color bonus, scoring you 1 point for each card in your largest set of the same color. Your second mermaid card would score you 1 point for each card in your second largest set of the same color, and so on. If you ever happen to have all 4 mermaids, you just flat out win the game. A game so elegant as this can only come from years of design experience, hundreds of hours of tinkering with what works and what doesn't. Each turn has at least one interesting decision, but when you can chain those duo cards together to get more and more cards on the same turn, you really start to strategize how you're layering that discard pile and what you're leaving for your opponent and what you're keeping for yourself. Maybe you can pick up a crab and play those crabs to search a discard pile for a sailboat to add to your other sailboat, and you play those sailboats and you take another turn and you get a fish card that you wanted and you take another card off the deck and now you have an octopus that adds 3 points to your hand. Obviously you have to build some cards up to have a turn like that, but it's so satisfying when you can chain those cards together in that way. But on the flip side, if you wait too long and you're holding your actions too long, someone can just say stop and end the round before you ever get the chance to do anything with them. You'll always find yourself keeping track of what your opponent is taking and what they're leaving, and it's going to make you make decisions as to whether or not you want to keep this card for yourself or give your opponent this card that you know that they can use. Sea Salt and Paper checks a lot of boxes for me. Small, check. Cheap, sort of. Easy to teach. No. Wait, I thought we were checking boxes here. What's going on? Okay, listen, yeah, the game is small, and yes, the gameplay is fun and addicting with interesting decisions and tension. And yeah, the origami artwork is adorable and graphically pleasing, and it's unlike any other game that I own. I mean, look how fucking cute this fucking penguin is. But currently, this game is only available in Europe. So yeah, if you're in Europe, go spend 10 to 12 euros on this game. You will not regret it. But if you're a dumb hick like me in the good old US of A, shipping is going to cost about $20, and that's twice as much as the cost of the game. You can get around this by buying multiple copies of the game and splitting the shipping costs with your friends, which is what I did. But as of February 2023, the game is often out of stock. And yeah, the game is dead simple for what you can do on your turn, but calculating all your points at a glance is kind of a barrier to entry for some players. Even now, after several games, I often find myself making little miscalculations when adding up my points. And I can't really just ask the table, hey, what's the rule about these points again? Or am I getting this math right? Because then I'm giving away my hand. But you can play this game for free right now on BoardGameArena.com. In many ways, this is actually my preferred way to play the game because all the points are tallied up for you, and you can hover over any of the cards and the website will tell you what the cards do, making it a fantastic way to learn the game and a very fast way to play the game. 2-player games can go by in like 10 minutes. Playing this way will also show you the high level of skill that can actually be attained in this game, because when you start playing on Board Game Arena against strangers, you will be absolutely decimated by some of these players. French players, I'm looking at you. Online or in person, Sea Salt and Paper plays fantastic at all player counts. I really love the riskiness of Last Chance in a 4-player game, but I also really love the tension and the back and forth. Take that in a 2-player game. It's just great. It joins the ranks of some of my favorite small box games like Love Letter, Hey That's My Fish, High Society, Silver and Gold, The Mind. All of these games are fantastic in their own right, but of the bunch, I'd say that Sea Salt and Paper has the most game to it. It's just a box of fresh-looking cards with that classic card game feel. I cannot recommend it enough. Yes, the box is tiny, but it will fill an ocean-sized void in your life. And for all you recently single folks out there, just remember, there's plenty of crabs in the deck.